The human eye is a sensory organ, part of the sensory nervous system, that reacts to visible light and allows humans to use visual information for various purposes, including seeing things, keeping balance, and maintaining circadian rhythm. The eye can be considered as a living optical device. It is approximately spherical in shape, with its outer layers, such as the outermost white part of the eye, the sclera, and one of its inner layers, the pigmented choroid, keeping the eye essentially light-tight, except on the eye's optic axis. In order, along the optic axis, the optical components consist of a first lens, the cornea, a clear part of the eye, that accomplishes most of the focusing of light from the outside world. Then an aperture, the pupil, in a diaphragm, the iris, the colored part of the eye, that controls the amount of light entering the interior of the eye. Then another lens, the crystalline lens, that accomplishes the remaining focusing of light into images. Then a light-sensitive part of the eye, the retina, where the images fall and are processed. The retina makes a connection to the brain via the optic nerve. The remaining components of the eye keep it in its required shape, nourish and maintain it, and protect it. 3 types of cells in the retina convert light energy into electrical energy used by the nervous system. Rods respond to low-intensity light and contribute to perception of low-resolution, black and white images. Cones respond to high-intensity light and contribute to perception of high-resolution, colored images. And the recently discovered photosensitive ganglion cells respond to a full range of light intensities and contribute to adjusting the amount of light reaching the retina, to regulating and suppressing the hormone melatonin, and to entraining circadian rhythm. Structure: human-shaped eyes, situated on the left and the right of the face. The eye sit in bony cavities called the orbits in the skull. There are 6 extraocular muscles that control eye movements. The front visible part of the eye is made up of the whitish sclera, a colored iris, and the pupil. A thin layer called the conjunctiva sits on top of this. The front part is also called the anterior segment of the eye. The eye is not shaped like a perfect sphere. Rather, it is a fused 2-piece unit composed of an anterior front segment and a posterior back segment. The anterior segment is made up of the cornea, iris, and lens. The cornea is transparent and more curved and is linked to the larger posterior segment, composed of the vitreous, retina, choroid, and the outer white shell called the sclera. The cornea is typically about 11.5 mm or 45 in diameter and 0.5 mm 500 mm in thickness near its center. The posterior chamber constitutes the remaining 5/6. Its diameter is typically about 24 mm 94 in. An area termed the limbus connects the cornea and sclera. The iris is the pigmented circular structure concentrically surrounding the center of the eye, the pupil, which appears to be black. The size of the pupil, which controls the amount of light entering the eye, is adjusted by the iris dilatator and sphincter muscles. Light energy enters the eye through the cornea, through the pupil, and then through the lens. The lens shape is changed for near focus accommodation and is controlled by the ciliary muscle. Photons of light falling on the light-sensitive cells of the retina photoreceptor cones and rods are converted into electrical signals that are transmitted to the brain by the optic nerve and interpreted as sight and vision. Components: the eye is made up of 3 coats or layers, enclosing various anatomical structures. The outermost layer, known as the fibrous tunic, is composed of the cornea and sclera, which provide shape to the eye and support the deeper structures. The middle layer, known as the vascular tunic or uvea, consists of the choroid, ciliary body, pigmented epithelium, and iris. The innermost is the retina, which gets its oxygenation from the blood vessels of the choroid, posteriorly as well as the retinal vessels anteriorly. The spaces of the eye are filled with the aqueous humor anteriorly. Between the cornea and lens, and the vitreous body, a jelly-like substance, behind the lens, filling the entire posterior cavity. The aqueous humor is a clear watery fluid that is contained into areas: the anterior chamber between the cornea and the iris, and the posterior chamber between the iris and the lens. The lens is suspended to the ciliary body by the suspensory ligament, made up of hundreds of fine transparent fibers which transmit muscular forces to change the shape of the lens for accommodation. The vitreous body is a clear substance composed of water and proteins, which give it a jelly-like and sticky composition. Disease. As the eye ages, certain changes occur that can be attributed solely to the aging process. Most of these anatomic and physiologic processes follow a gradual decline. With aging, the quality of vision worsens due to reasons independent of diseases of the aging eye. While there are many changes of significance in the non-diseased eye, the most functionally important changes seem to be a reduction in pupil size and the loss of accommodation or focusing capability. The area of the pupil governs the amount of light that can reach the retina. The extent to which the pupil dilates decreases with age, leading to a substantial decrease in light received at the retina. In comparison to younger people, it is as though older persons are constantly wearing medium-density sunglasses. Therefore, for any detailed visually guided tasks, on which performance varies with illumination, older persons require extra lighting. Certain ocular diseases can come from sexually transmitted infections such as herpes and genital warts. If contact between the eye and area of infection occurs, the STI can be transmitted to the eye. With aging, a prominent white ring develops in the periphery of the cornea called arcus senilis. Aging causes laxity, downward shift of eyelid tissues, and atrophy of the orbital fat. These changes contribute to the etiology of several eyelid disorders such as ectropion, entropion, dermatochalasis, and ptosis. The vitreous gel undergoes liquefaction, and its opacity is visible as floaters gradually increase in number. Eye care professionals, including ophthalmologists and optometrists, are involved in the treatment and management of ocular and vision disorders. A Snellen chart is one type of eye chart used to measure visual acuity. At the conclusion of a complete eye examination, the eye doctor might provide the patient with an eyeglass prescription for corrective lenses. Some disorders of the eyes for which corrective lenses are prescribed include myopia nearsightedness, hyperopia farsightedness, astigmatism, and presbyopia, the loss of focusing range during aging.